Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm Simona. I'm the founder of Moon Tribe. And I will tell you a little bit more today about how working with the moon can really change your life. At least it has for me, and it has had a really powerful impact. So I've been working with the moon, I think, for the last 3 or 4 years. Since I started my brand Moon Tribe, I became more and more interested in how to follow the cycle of the moon. And what I noticed before, as I was still working in my corporate job, I realized that I was just under this assumption that I have to be kind of functioning at a same level and be productive. And I think we have in our culture and in the 9 to 5 jobs that many of us are working in, we have kind of this idea that you need to be Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, kind of on and switched on, and we just keep drinking coffee and keep going and pushing and working and trying to be productive. And for me, when I started to learn more about the phases of the moon and about the cycle of the moon, I started to notice that actually I had real shifts according to the moon, and I spoke with people and everybody was feeling the same. So what is actually happening is that we all have rise and fall of our energy levels within 1 month, and that is connected to the phases of the moon. Because as you know, I'm sure the moon is connected to water, and it actually has the ability to pull huge bodies of water. It's pulling the ocean, so it's creating the tides of the oceans in this continuous rhythm. Definitely animals are affected as well by the moon phases, especially at full moon is very visible, and we are also very much affected. So as you might know, we actually consist to 70% of water. So we are largely made of water, and in every way we are also fluctuating with these natural ups and downs. And so I just want to explain a little bit in case if you're new to working with the moon. So the cycle of the moon is around 29 days. So that's why it's called a month. It's called after moon. And it's kind of split into 2 parts. The first part is from the new moon, we have the crescent moon. It starts growing and growing. And then you have the first quarter, which is like the half moon, until it comes to the very peak of the cycle, which is like the moment of the fullness, of the completion, and of the most energy available in the month. And that's the time of the full moon. So you might notice in that time, sometimes you feel more active, you feel more energized, maybe you can't sleep as well. People are a little bit more erratic, and there's just a lot of energy in the air. And then after the full moon, we move into the waning phase, which is the other 2 weeks of the month where the moon starts slowly dissolving more and more. So we have the last quarter and many other phases in between until the moon slowly becomes invisible again and completely dissolves into the darkness before it starts all over again. In this last part of the lunar cycle, we usually have a drop in the energy, especially the last days before the new moon. I've really noticed most people feel more tired. It's a time where we are actually naturally supposed to rest more and slow down and really recharge ourselves. And the more we do that, the more we actually follow our intuition and follow this natural rhythm to rest, to slow down, to do more self-care in this time, the more we actually can fill our batteries and then start moving forward with the new moon with much more energy. So I would encourage you to start paying attention and become more aware about how you are affected, how you're feeling it. And instead of really pushing yourself and having another coffee or, like kind of trying to force yourself, just notice your natural energy levels and maybe rest when you need to, and notice that on other days you are actually much more focused and productive. So for me, working with the moon also brings this beautiful understanding that, of course, we are not machines, we are not robots who are like just like you switch on and we are always the same. But our culture is kind of assuming that. For me, it's like an old byproduct of the Industrial Revolution and this industrial way of working, which is actually very outdated in our times. So I feel for me a more natural and a more feminine way of working is to actually flow with our natural rise and fall of energy. And some days you get a lot done very quick, and some days you rest more and you slow down more. And that's completely normal, because actually in nature nothing evolves in such a linear way. Like we sometimes have this idea that it needs to be linear, but actually nothing in nature works like this. In nature everything moves in cycles. I just want to make you aware, like to become more aware about all the cycles in nature that are a continuous sequence of something growing, expanding, reaching a peak, and then slowly contracting and dissolving again. And then it starts all over again. So there are so many examples that you can think about. The beat of your heart, expanding, contracting. Your breath, the inhale to the fullness, the exhale to the emptiness, and the next breath again. So if you don't exhale fully, there's not space for the next inhale to come in, isn't it? So it's all a perfect rhythm. There needs to be a time to, inhale and grow and fill up, and as important is this time of releasing and letting go to create space again for the new to arise. So that's the beauty and the harmony in nature. And the cycle of every day. You have the morning, which could be like this kind of a waxing phase, the energy is growing. You have the midday, the peak, and then the afternoon, the energy slows down, and the evening, and then you have midnight, is like the new moon. So just start becoming more aware about these cycles in nature, and when we start to move back into this cyclical time, I think this is a much more intuitive and much more healthy way to be in tune with the natural rhythms, because we are not separate from nature. We are very much part of nature. And especially if you are practicing yoga or other spiritual practices, I think we become more and more naturally in sync. And the more we are in sync, the more we are actually flowing with the river instead of swimming against it. So for me, this is a way of living in a more intelligent way. So if you would like to learn more about how to work with the moon, how to follow the different phases of the moon, I also have I have created a beautiful online course, which is called Manifesting with the Moon, where I bring this together with how to actually set your intentions with the new moon, which is the perfect time to plant the seeds of the intentions and then grow them through the cycle of the year. And then very effortlessly, we can actually start to create our life and start attracting what we want. And it works. I have many examples in my life. I have many people I have worked with, and it's a very, very powerful tool. So have a look, check it out, and otherwise I hope this helps to understand a little bit better. Please follow what I'm doing. I always write about the moon as well, if you're interested in that. So you can sign up on my website, sign up to the newsletter if you're not already. And please leave a comment as well. And like this video will also help if you want. So just stay connected, and I really hope to see you soon.